My father was a 16-year-old boy when he came from Europe, and he had no trade, no nothing. In fact, he hadn't even graduated high school, and he went to work as a laborer in the railroads. Up in Buffalo, he helped build the railroads in Buffalo, and eventually came back to New York, and he became a furniture polisher, worked in a piano factory. In 1928, a very, very dear friend of the family wanted to open up a bakery and needed a partner, and asked my father if he would go in with him. And my father went in with him, and eventually he wound up owning the bakery himself, and he brought his brother in from Italy, Thomas, and they ran the bakery in East Harlem from 1928 until 1933, when they moved over up into the Bronx, which at the time was, was meadows and whatnot, farms, land and everything. Their first week's profit, between the two of them, they split $12. But eventually, it was good for us. We worked hard. My father and uncle worked very hard, and the business progressed. And the area happened to develop into an ethnic Italian shopping area, which was lucky for us. In 1944, my father and his brother had a falling out over something. It was not personal between the two of them, it was between in-law family problems. So my father pulled out and bought the property where we're at now on Hughes Avenue. In 1944, it was a building with 2 apartments upstairs, 2 ovens, full basement, solidly brick-built building for the big sold sum of $9,500. Then my brother and I started to work in the business with my father, and eventually, when he retired, my brother and I took over. But let me tell you, when he had to pay the $9,500, he didn't have 5 cents to his name. He went to a family in East Harlem, and there was a gentle old woman there who my father had confirmed her grandson. And he went over to her and he asked, he needed the money. And she took him over to the vault on 16th Street and First Avenue. There's a bank. And she opened the vault and says, whatever you want is yours. So he borrowed $10,000. And that was the beginning of Addeo Bakers. And you know, it was funny though. Every Sunday, me, my brother, my father would take a ride down to East Harlem. So I thought it was just a social visit. But Papa was bringing back the payments every week. Little we knew about that there. And we still maintain a very, very strong relationship with that family. When I first started baking my first bread, I was 13 years old. And it wasn't the ovens we have today, the mechanical ovens. They were the old brick ovens, were about 20 feet, which you had to feed with a pail and whatnot, and coal fired. It was not like today's ovens, which are automatically, thermostatically controlled, and the steam is controlled there. You did everything by feel and by hand. But we had to go pick up our own coal downstairs to carry it upstairs to feed the oven. We've been here since 1944, 68 years, yeah. I think it's a pretty good record there. You know, the thing is about Arthur Avenue here, our shopping area, is that we have the most third-generation businesses concentrate in all of New York is here in Arthur Avenue. We have about, I would say, at least 6 families who are third generation in the businesses here on Arthur Avenue, which is quite a bit when you think of it. I love baking. I miss it. I thought, you know, people take baking for granted, but baking is actually a science. The baker has to be a chemist, he has to be a physicist, has to go to the temperature that the weather's out and whatnot. He gets raw material, he mixes, he's actually a chemist, mixing, and he gets a finished product. I always thought of that there. And I had a friend of mine one time, came over, it was a holiday, and the holidays we worked, and he would say, he looked at me, he says to me, he says, I will never eat a loaf of bread without respecting it after seeing all the work that goes into it.